Hi, I'm Tony Nichols, and welcome to this edition of Chamber Chat. Hi, welcome again to this edition of Chamber Chat, a program put together by the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce for the sole purpose of keeping you informed on what's going on in the community at large as well as the Chamber of Commerce. Joining us today is Jeff Scher with Apple Discount Drugs, and you're here to talk about drugs and health care, but in a little bit different kind of fashion. Tell us what you're here to talk about.
Well, I think today we're going to talk about PBMs, these pharmacy benefit managers, that seem to be a major cost to the employers, in our community and around the country.
Okay, you threw a new acronym on me, a PBM and a pharmacy benefit manager, as having a previous career in insurance and having a little bit of knowledge. Don't have a clue what you're talking about. Tell us what that is.
Well, basically, a pharmacy benefit manager, they work as a broker between employers, or otherwise known as plan sponsors, and pharmacies. So there's a lot of good benefits that they do have. I mean, one of the things that they certainly do is they come up with plan design. They design your health care plan for you. And also at the same time, what they'll do is they'll make sure that the pharmacies get paid for their claims. A couple other things they do is develop formularies. And a formulary is nothing more than a list of drugs that we all decide upon. Right. And they work on rebates. They wind up negotiating rebates for you. So there's a lot of good that PBMs do. Some of them. Right.
So they're more of a TPA, a third-party administrator,
exactly.
That mediary between one and the other. So how do they, or are they the same, do they act in the same capacity with both companies and pharmacies?
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's one of the problems that occurs today. When you look at the PBMs, they negotiate not only with the employer, but they also negotiate with the pharmacy themselves. As you can see by the illustration here, there are two different, if we take a drug, particularly, let's say we'll take atorvastatin, which is Lipitor, generic Lipitor, okay. And you look at the price of it. We look at two different methods. We look at the AWP, which is the catalog price. And nobody really pays the catalog price, but that is the catalog price. And on the other end, we look at what's called the maximum allowable cost. And the maximum allowable cost is a number that the PBM comes up with by themselves. They make it up. It's whatever they want it to be. So as I'm going to the plan sponsor, to the employer, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give you 50% off your AWP price. In this case, this atorvastatin costing over $500 would come down to about $250. But to pay the pharmacy, they're only going to pay them based on the MAC, which is going to be about $18. The difference of the profit of being about $240 is what the PBM makes. So that's called the spread, and that's where they're making their money. The problem is that the employer or the plan sponsor is being grossly overcharged. If we had a system, a PBM that was transparent, they could see that, and that could be avoided. So there's a lot of wiggle room for employers out there to try to save some healthcare dollars.
So is there, knowing that the PBMs, these pharmacy benefit managers, did I understand you to say they're not regulated at all, and the price, the maximum allowable price that they themselves set, no one regulates that?
That's correct.
They just come up with a number based on whatever.
And not only that, but when the drug goes up in price, if the AWP goes up in price, pharmacy,
that's the sticker price,
that's
if you will.
The catalog
Correct.
price, yes, sir.
Right.
So what happens is the pharmacies are at the mercy for whether the PBMs are going to increase the MAC price also. So there's a lot of legislation in right now to make sure that it happens in a quicker manner. But there is no regulation on this.
So I don't want to create a firestorm here, but pharmacies, it sounds like, are held at gunpoint because you don't get a voice in the matter either.
Absolutely.
The prices are set and it's static, and here's what the pharmacy gets paid regardless.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I know we've taken advantage of over the years that we saw a major benefit to, and it leads me to think that there may be even more inequities, is the mail order programs,
Right.
where I can get 3 months for a cheaper cost.
Right.
Does that then translate by default to a cheaper cost that the pharmacy would receive?
Well,
Or-
the only person that gets a cheaper cost is the employee, because they're only paying for 2 co-pays instead of 3. The
Right.
employer, if you take the example that I used earlier,
Mhm.
the employer is still paying that exorbitantly high price, and that's the reason why they're able to give a lower amount on the copay. The worst part about it is the fact that what it does is it takes money out of the community.
Sure.
So rather than being filled at a community pharmacy, it's being filled at some mail order pharmacy that's owned by the
A
PBM.
hub. Gotcha. Are there, with drugs, Lipitor, like you were talking about, are there rebates as with any other product in the world, or are there rebates tied in with these drugs? And if so, who gets that rebate?
That's another great point. So theoretically, yes, there are rebates, but only if this plan sponsor knows about it. So if you're not aware there's a rebate, the rebate will come back. Rebates are really are provided for shifting market share by shifting from one drug to a next. So a drug company will go to a PBM and say, if you move a higher percentage of market share to our drug, we will rebate dollars back to you. The problem is if the plan sponsor doesn't know about it,
Mm-hmm.
he won't know that he's supposed to be getting rebates involved also. So it's really a shame, because there's so much that's being missed out, only because the PBM is not transparent. If the PBM was transparent, they would be able to see all these things.
Well, are there relationships whereby you could partner with a transparent PBM to share costs or negotiate something different? So there are areas or organizations where that realize what's at stake.
Oh, absolutely. And the trend is going that way. There are transparent PBMs, and what they do is they just charge you, the employer, by claim. So if you filled 1,000 claims, they would charge you so many dollars per claim. But everything else, there wouldn't be these 2 contract prices. There would only be 1 contract price, and everybody would know what they're paying. You would also be aware of not only your drug costs, but how you'd be able to save on drug costs. So it gets you more involved in the total health care and managing your employees.
Well, I think this is, this might be a softball question for you, but, how would that benefit everyone involved for there to be more transparency?
Well, I think what comes to mind is when you're not willing to be transparent, then obviously you're trying to hide something,
Right.
And I think in the case here where we're talking about local businesses as well as our municipalities, on my financial statement, health insurance is my number 2 expense behind personnel. So if we were able to save our county and our city and our school board dollars that could be better funded for schools
Mm-hmm.
and protection and whatsoever, it's only a win-win, So again, there's a tremendous opportunity out there to look at other avenues that are out there. And the transparency seems to be the way, because you're still getting all the benefits of the PBM as far as developing the plan of the drug,
Right.
of the program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really quite advantageous to go in that direction.
Sounds like just opportunity waiting to be taken.
Well, only if you know about it.
Right,
So what
that's true.
happens is we're entering into a situation where, no offense to anybody, it's such a complex situation. It's no different than trying to deal with Medicare recipients trying to understand drug plans. It's beyond them, so that's where the role of the pharmacist comes in, is to be able to make it so that it's more easily understanding, so that they can benefit by it also.
Fantastic. Jeff, thanks for coming and sharing
Thank
this.
you.
I had no idea, so thanks again.
Thank you.
You're watching Chamber Chat on PAC 14, and right now we'd like to give you an opportunity to take a look at the upcoming events with the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining us now is Kim Gillis, the Vice President of the Membership Division with the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, here's the question that all the division VPs have gotten. Tell us what your division is all about.
Sure. The Membership Division, besides often being told that we're the coolest division of all,
I understand.
the Membership Division is focused on recruitment, retention, and recognition. So our goal is to increase membership through new members, to ensure that we're retaining members, and to recognize members. And we have a lot of programs in place to do that.
Okay, you get the infamous question now, the question that we ask every VP that has sat in that chair. You have committees and you have networks. Why and what is the difference?
Well, as part of the Chamber's reorganization that took place, I guess over a year or so ago, they determined that the terminology committees to some people meant having to do a lot of work.
Right.
So they felt that the word network would be a little more representative of what was expected from members. So in the different networks, which under membership, we have the ambassadors and the Young Professionals Network. They're a little bit more informal groups to carry out the chamber missions. And then from that, if there's a program or an event that something needs to be planned or needs more focus, an ad hoc committee could then be formed.
Very cool. Dig into both of those networks, because within those networks, there's a lot of moving parts in terms of things that they get done, the events that they put on. So if you could speak to both of those networks, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. The Ambassadors Group, which has been in place for a long time, they've been a long-standing network, very successful, and they essentially help welcome new members and work with existing members to get them involved in the chamber. What we found is that active and engaged members get more from their membership, so we want to help those members get the most out of the membership and make sure they're benefiting from that.
To that point, almost in the same vein that the members are the backbone of the chamber, that membership network or the ambassador network within that, the membership framework, is really the backbone of that division, because that's the engagement aspect of the membership division.
Absolutely, and that's why it's so important to get members involved and active and engaged. We'll probably hear that word a lot while we're talking today. The ambassadors also help support the chamber at a lot of the networking events, so whether it's the business before hours, after hours, ribbon cuttings, you're likely going to meet some of the ambassadors, welcoming guests, and making sure a new member, they may help with introductions to other members as well. So it's a friendly group that helps everybody feel welcome and included.
What about the shy group that is within the chamber that really has a hard time having fun? Yeah,
the real curmudgeons, the young professionals. I think I may still be allowed to attend those meetings. I'm not sure. It's borderline at this point.
But they tell me I can attend. But, it's only in spirit.
Well, that brings up a great point, because one thing that the young professionals do want to promote is that all are welcome to attend all of their events and meetings, and they're really inclusive of all the chamber members, and vice versa. We encourage the YPs to attend all the chamber events. So I think that's important to note. But the young professionals are really they're accomplishing a lot. They're an innovative group, and they have a ton of energy. So they've been a huge help to the chamber with many, many events. And they're focused on providing opportunities for young professionals in our community to help them with networking, community outreach, and personal and professional development. Many of these folks are just starting out in the business world. So, it might be a little more intimidating to come to a chamber function, whereas this group kind of helps introduce them slowly into the chamber and learn how meetings are run and how to plan events. It's more of an introduction.
That ties into my next question, more from a broad stroke, but you can certainly speak to that, to the YPs specifically. how do you see that the membership division is relevant, not only to the chamber but to the community at large?
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, the membership division, the sole focus is to ensure that members are active and engaged, and that the chamber is helping them accomplish their goals. So Kathy Thomas, who's the Member Services Director, she will often work with members to get them involved in whatever area of the chamber best suits them. So whether they have needs in networking, or maybe it's advocacy, outreach, across the board, she's going to help ensure that they get tied in with the right division. So the membership services are directly correlated with what's happening in the business community and how can the chamber respond to what your needs are.
And then the YPs, the relevance of that, I see, to steal your words, you've got a lot of younger professionals entering into the world of networking or in the world of business, and to have the ability to connect with someone that's walked that path before them, it's invaluable. I know it was invaluable to me before I had gray hair.
Absolutely.
So.
And it's a great way to get those members interested in moving up the ranks within the chamber.
Gotcha. Any current projects that are going on within the division?
Sure. The young professionals host monthly Coffee Connects. So that's been an incredibly successful event. They also do some other networking type events, but the monthly networking events have been very successful. They run from 7:30 to 9:30 on the last Thursday of each month. And we're also, we now have sponsors in place for the Coffee Connect, so any business that would be interested can certainly contact the chamber. Beacon has been our sponsor for the last set. So they're really a great success, and we encourage everybody to come out and attend those. The ambassadors always have tons of events going on, again, supporting the business before hours, business after hours. And then they also host new member receptions, also known as Chamber 101. So they host those quarterly. And the best bet is to keep an eye on the chamber calendar for upcoming events.
We'll show that. We'll show it. In fact, we'll put that up here in just a minute for them.
Excellent.
How can people get involved?
Well, again, the chamber calendar is a great way to find out what's happening at the chamber and how they can come support some of the events. For anybody interested in membership opportunities and all the vast benefits available through chamber membership, I would encourage them to contact Kathy at the chamber, or myself, or any of the board members, Ernie. Any of us would be happy to help them. And then once you are a member, I know Kathy has offered to sit down with some folks and let them know, what are your goals from being a chamber member, and let's get you placed where this membership is going to pay off for you.
That's a great resource. I know Kathy, and she's passionate about doing that kind of stuff too.
Absolutely.
So, very good. Well, Kim Gillis, thanks for joining us, VP of the Membership Division for the Chamber of Commerce. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, again, you're watching Chamber Chat on PAC 14. We're going to give you another opportunity to take a look at the upcoming events with the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to Chamber Chat. It is our distinct pleasure to have a veteran of PAC 14, Mr. Doug Wilson, president of the Community Foundation, with us. Thanks for joining us on Chamber Chat.
I'm very pleased to be here.
This is the first time, I think, that you've been on that side of the camera.
It is.
So
Friday, I'll be on your side of the camera.
There you go. There you go.
Yes,
Well, we'll get this going. Sure. Community Foundation, it's 30 years old.
Oh yeah, as we celebrate our 30th anniversary this year, we had a big event, a big gala celebration at the fountains, and we do have a lot of milestones. As you can imagine, being as an organization for 30 years, we've done a lot of things.
Come a long way in 30 years.
Oh boy,
I think the first year I read somewhere where at the end of the year of that first year, the assets were whopping 14,000.
Yes, they were.
What are they today?
They're over 100 million.
Wow.
Over 100 million. Just slightly more than 100 million, but over that threshold.
That's still a little bit of a difference.
It is.
Any milestones that you can think of that that stand out in terms of things that are noteworthy?
Sure. And I think that's part of what we're going to be celebrating.
Right.
One of the things we're actually going to have is we have this beautiful 30th anniversary gala brochure,
Right.
which we'll be making available to all those who participate.
That's fantastic.
And what it does, though, which is really nice, and I won't open it up, but it highlights all of the things, the milestones we've hit through the years, which is really great. But I'll mention a couple of them because I think they're significant.
Right.
Probably one of the biggest things that helped put us on the map was the Kresge Foundation Challenge. What that was is they, throughout the United States, they went out and they had community foundations apply. And what the purpose was is they would provide money, which would then be matched by local nonprofit organizations to build community capital to do good to
Right.
projects and things. So we, by the time we were done, we had 19 nonprofit organizations participate with us. We ended up with $12 million through matches and what the Kresge Foundation gave us, and we were only one of 6 community
I was
foundations.
going to
in
say,
the
I
United
think we were
States.
only one of a very select few.
Yeah, and we're rural and small.
Right.
So that was another, it was kudos to us. And the reason that that was important is because that really started moving the capital formation and the interest in the foundation because of all of the people associated with the 19 nonprofits who said, this is a great way where we can start building those organizations.
Put the wind behind the
The
sail, if you
sales
will.
for those. That's
Yeah.
right. So that's a big.
Well, I cheated. Given the fact that 30 years is a pretty big milestone for
Yes.
the community foundation, I cheated and I looked up some other events.
Yeah.
In 2008, Help Your Neighbor Fund
The Help
was
Your Neighbor
established.
Fund got started. Yeah, and that's a great fund because what that really does is it provides funding for families in need of paying their electric bill, putting food on the table, and that kind of stuff. These are people who are in desperate straits.
Sure.
And that's what the Help the Neighbor Fund is all about, and we love doing that.
Yeah. 2009, SureCan.
Right.
Promoting volunteerism, sponsoring volunteer and training for local nonprofits.
That's right. In fact, we put on all kinds of programs that benefit local nonprofits. We just had one. Sharon, our CPA, just put on a program, kind of Finance 101. What goes into a balance sheet, what goes into developing an operating budget, what goes into a 990. Those kinds of things. We have other things all throughout. Just go on our website and you can find out all about those.
Yeah, the most recent one, I think the most recent one was the Women's Fund that was established.
The Women's Fund, as a fund, that's one of the more recent ones. It's a great one. It only it helps women and it helps girls. And we have a very excited and aggressive group of women that produce funds. It actually is kind of an odd arrangement. It has part of their assets are endowment, and part of them are available to grant money, and they use that to spend on improvement of women's and children's girls programs. It's been very successful. A lot of women in it.
My last little nugget here that I found is really impressive.
Okay.
In 30 years, you've received almost $82 million in gifts, and you've given out over $50 million in grants. That is phenomenal.
What's really phenomenal, Tony, is that we now have assets over $100 million.
Absolutely.
How does that happen?
That's right. To do all that and still have assets over $100 million.
That's right. And that's the value
That's fantastic.
of endowed funds through community foundations. So
Sure.
that's what we're all
I
about.
understand. I think I read somewhere where you guys just came through a strategic planning process, maybe for up through year 2017.
Yeah, 2014 through 2017. We actually did it in 2013, part of 2012 and 2013. We did it. It has pillars. It's got somewhere between 40 and 50 goals and objectives that
Wow.
we're trying to move forward. And it's really charting kind of a new course for the foundation.
Okay.
Because one of the things we don't want to do, and as you know, the market's performing very, very well.
Sure.
And that's really helped us. But we can't depend on the market because it's gone down in the past, as we all well know. So what we have to do is focus our attention on getting more donors, getting more businesses involved, that kind of thing, to really strengthen the asset base.
As I said, you're the veteran. That was the perfect segue for my next question.
Okay.
Living on Delmarva in such a generous area in terms of the people and businesses giving,
Yes.
what does that mean to an organization like the Community Foundation?
Oh my God, we couldn't survive without the generosity and the philanthropic perspectives of our donors, which includes businesses,
Right.
which includes communities. And we're here to serve the needs. We act as a safety net for a lot of organizations and individuals. But if we didn't have that, we would be in a very much worse off position.
You brought up businesses, and most people, I know I do, when I think of philanthropic ventures, you think of endowments or people leaving monies
Right.
or people,
Right.
doing something individually. What role do businesses play in this?
Oh, businesses have started their own endowed funds at the Community Foundation.
Really? That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
We have a lot of them. And interestingly enough, we have a lot of agencies, nonprofits, that have their own endowment funds. So because they're looking at the rainy day when things may not be good operations or their grant funds dry up,
Sure.
they'll need some of that money. So yeah, very important. I got to tell you, can I just take a quick 10 seconds?
You can.
I just got to say, and it's only become apparent to me since I've been with the Community Foundation, but we have 300 not-for-profits in the Tri-County area. We have great, big nonprofit organizations who do great things, and like we've got the United Way, we've got Women Supporting Women, we've got MAC, we've got all of these great organizations, all doing great things.
Sure.
And without them, if they went away, we would be in a terrible, terrible situation. So not only do we depend on our nonprofits from doing well, and we want to see them do well, but we just enjoy the benefits of the philanthropy of our local communities, which includes not only individual donors, people like you and me,
Right.
but businesses.
Businesses as well.
Businesses as well. Yeah.
You got a fair coming up,
We
a volunteer
sure do.
fair.
We sure do.
Tell us about that.
It's in Warwick. It is a great thing. Here's an example where the Community Foundation is working with the United Way to put on this volunteer fair. And what that is, in 2 seconds, is we get sponsors to come in. They set up tables. These are organizations that need volunteers.
Okay.
They come into Warwick. We invite the crowd, the communities, for people who want to perhaps do more volunteering. And they can go around and see what all these different organizations are doing and align themselves with one. They can learn about all the different organizations we have. And if there's a volunteer opportunity, we hope to snap them up. It's great. We did it last in 2010. We're doing it now again in 2014 at Warwick. And they're
June
great.
21st, did I
It's
see?
June 21st.
21st.
That's
Oh,
right. I'm
yeah.
glad you said 21st because we got a lot going on in June.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, we're glad you stopped by Chamber Chat. Your passion and your enthusiasm absolutely comes through. We look forward to watching you on your program,
Thank you.
Community Foundation Spotlight.
That's right.
So once again, thanks for stopping by.
Tony, it's been a pleasure.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much for
Maybe
having me.
maybe we'll reverse roles one day, but
Well, I was thinking that.
not soon. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Chamber Chat. As always, we'd like to hear from you, your thoughts or comments about this edition or future topics for Chamber Chat editions. If you missed any portion of this edition of Chamber Chat or you'd like to view previous editions, we'd invite you to visit PAC 14 and utilize their on-demand function, or you could also visit the Chamber's website and see it there as well. Well, that's a wrap for this edition of Chamber Chat. As always, I'm your host, Tony Nichols, encouraging you to make a difference.